I see her rolling up, Uber black Cadillac, high heel boots and a sex.
Something is changing at Aragon. After numerous tests, engine character changes, and Yamaha's efforts to find the best direction for the 850 cubic centimeters V4 project, there are now signs that they have finally found the formula they have been searching for. And most interestingly, these changes are said to be starting to suit Toprak Razgatlioglu's aggressive riding style. At the Aragon track, attention isn't just focused on lap times. Instead, data from braking, acceleration, corner exit, and even Toprak's response when he opens the throttle again are the most interesting aspects to observe. Yamaha seems to be starting to understand one important thing. This bike doesn't have to completely change Toprak, but rather, it needs to adapt to his character. Does this mean Yamaha has finally found the right development direction for the 850 cubic centimeters V4? Are the issues that previously prevented Toprak from feeling at one with the bike starting to be resolved? And could Aragon be the starting point for the birth of a Yamaha V4 truly built for the new era of MotoGP? Here's the full story of Yamaha's secret formula that is starting to make the 850 cubic centimeters V4 feel even more suited to Toprak Razgatlioglu. And here's the full news. Exciting news comes from Yamaha's major project to prepare for the future of MotoGP. After continuing to develop the new 850 cubic centimeters V4 engine concept, Yamaha is now said to be showing a clearer direction. During testing in Aragon, attention was focused on how the bike's character slowly began to adapt to Toprak Razgatlioglu's riding style. For Yamaha, the 850 cubic centimeters V4 project is not simply about building a new engine configuration. The much greater challenge is creating a motorcycle package that works as a whole. The engine, chassis, electronics, aerodynamics, braking, and even rear-wheel traction must all have characteristics that suit the rider's needs. And with Toprak Razgatlioglu's name on the project, Yamaha faces an even more exciting challenge. Toprak is known for his highly aggressive riding style. He is powerful under braking, boldly carries the bike deep into corners, and possesses exceptional front-end control. However, such a style requires a bike that gives the rider complete confidence. A bike isn't just about having a lot of power. It must deliver predictable responses. And at Aragon, Yamaha seems to be starting to find that balance. One of the biggest focuses is believed to be how the 850 cubic centimeters V4 delivers power out of corners. Previously, an overly aggressive engine character or unstable throttle response could be a major problem for riders. When power arrives too quickly, the rear wheel becomes more difficult to control. Conversely, when power arrives too late, acceleration loses effectiveness. Therefore, Yamaha seems to be looking for a middle ground. A power character that remains aggressive, yet controllable. Powerful enough to provide acceleration, but smooth enough to encourage Toprak to open the throttle early. And this is what makes testing at Aragon so interesting. It's not just about how fast the bike can go on the straights. Yamaha seems to be increasingly focused on what happens in the most crucial areas of a lap. The transition from braking to the apex, and then from the apex to acceleration. This is where Toprak's style can be a weapon. If the front end of the bike gives him confidence, Toprak can brake very late. When the rear end remains stable, he can take the bike into corners more aggressively. And when acceleration begins to be well controlled, Toprak's ability to find the limits of traction can be a huge advantage. This formula seems to be what Yamaha is searching for. For years, Yamaha has been known for its own philosophy in building motorcycles. However, regulatory changes and technological advancements have forced the Japanese manufacturer to continually adapt. The V4 project is part of this major shift. But building a V4 doesn't mean all the problems are immediately solved. Instead, Yamaha must understand the new characteristics of the engine. The V4 configuration offers different power and acceleration potential. However, the engine's characteristics also bring new demands on the chassis, weight distribution, electronics, and even how the bike interacts with the tires. Therefore, Aragon is an ideal place to see how all these elements come together. This circuit has a combination of fast corners, hard braking areas, changes of direction, and acceleration sections that demand high stability. If a bike has a weakness in balance, the rider will immediately feel it. And for Yamaha, data from conditions like these is invaluable. What's interesting is the possibility that Yamaha is no longer simply looking for the fastest bike in one sector. They began searching for a motorcycle character that would allow Toprak to consistently repeat his best performance. Because in racing, one fast corner isn't enough. One fast lap isn't enough either. What was needed was a motorcycle that could inspire confidence over dozens of laps. Toprak had to know what the motorcycle would do when he braked harder. He had to know how the front reacted entering a corner. He had to know when the rear wheel started to lose traction. And most importantly, he had to trust that when the throttle was opened, the motorcycle would respond as he wanted. This is where the true meaning of the word suitable comes in. This doesn't mean the 850 cubic centimeters V4 is already a perfect motorcycle. It doesn't mean Yamaha has done everything. But signs that a rider is starting to understand the motorcycle, and that the motorcycle is starting to respond in a way that suits the rider's style, are crucial steps. Aragon could be a crucial point in that process. Yamaha appears to be gathering data that will help them understand Toprak's needs more specifically. Every braking force, every change in the angle of the bike, every way the throttle is opened, all provide information to the engineers. And the more Yamaha understands this data, the greater their chances of building a bike that truly suits the rider's character. It's possible that the formula they're searching for isn't just the engine. In fact, the real secret might lie in a combination of several elements. A more controllable power character. More consistent throttle response. Rear-end stability when exiting corners. Electronics that don't interfere too much with the rider's natural style. And of course, a chassis balance that allows Toprak to continue braking in his signature way. If all these elements start working together, Yamaha's 850 cubic centimeters V4 could become a very different bike than it was at the beginning of its development. This is why the developments at Aragon are so interesting. In motorsport, small changes can make a big difference. A few millimeters in component position. A slight change in engine braking character. Adjustments to electronic response. Or a change in the way power is delivered to the rear wheel. All of these can change how a rider feels on the bike. And for a rider like Toprak, confidence is everything. When he feels comfortable, his aggressive riding style can come naturally. He doesn't need to force the bike. He doesn't need to constantly fight the machine's character. Instead, he can start using the bike as part of his riding style. That's what Yamaha is looking for. Not just to make Toprak faster, but to make Toprak feel like the bike can do what he wants. If this development continues, Yamaha could have a crucial foundation for their 850 cubic centimeters project. Aragon may not have provided all the answers yet. There's still a lot of work to be done. Development of the engine, electronics, chassis, aerodynamics, as well as adjustments to future tires and regulations are all part of a long process. But every positive sign counts. And if the 850 cubic centimeters V4 begins to show a character that suits Toprak, then Yamaha may have finally found the development direction they've been elusive for so long. The next question, of course, becomes even more interesting. Will Yamaha continue to develop the bike's character based on Toprak's input? Will the setup tested at Aragon become the basis for further development? And most importantly, How much potential is still hidden when Yamaha truly succeeds in integrating the 850 cubic centimeters V4 engine with Toprak Razgatlioglu's aggressive riding style?